Peace and greetings. Presenting the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, providing in-depth information on society and culture in America and abroad, bringing you truth messages of inspiration, keen insight, reputable interviews, and so much more. So now, for the truth you've been waiting for, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast, Aura, the informationalist.
And greetings, people. Welcome to the Network of Awareness. This is a pre-recorded show. I'm releasing this episode on the Saturday, Sabbath, for Faith Over Fear Friday episode. Had a lot going on last night. People got very tired. And what can I say? I decided to just let the Jello Blood episode rock for a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely download if you haven't, Jello Blood. Really good, short, precise show just about the blood clotting that's going on. But besides that, for today, we got a really good show as well. It's called Pan-Dem-Icking. And the reason I called it Pan-Dem-Icking is because the pandemic is something that they want you to think is real. And there's now a culture that has basic programmed, conditioned people to believe that it's real. And it's really fake, to be honest with you. It's not real at all. And the problem is that they want people to think it's real. So they have this whole campaign in the commercial media, which we know is the smoke and mirrors media, that has really did this really strong medical story or narrative to support the pandemic. But what it's really supporting is what I call pandemicking, where it creates this, which is now pandemicking, where it's associated with virus, bacteria, as you will hear, animals, medicine, people, environments. It's like they're putting blame on people. And yes, we as humanity have developed some very bad habits, but for damn sure, we did not something called CACA-19 because CACA-19 doesn't even exist. So that's the point of this episode, people. So let's get it started and get this quick intro popping, and I'll be right back.
Nothing like stage screen radio.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
The informationalist.
I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just because you don't like the way another nigga talk.
In the mix.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
All right. So people, I got a clip I'm going to play from the CBS News Gang. I believe this gentleman is by the name of Joshua Johnson, and he's got his own nightly show. And of course, it says, get the latest information from the CDC about COVID-19, how the pandemic highlights the connection between health and environment. Thought it was an interesting thing to just kind of lay out for the theme and concept of the show, of letting you know that they've this culture now that has developed this very strong narrative with a lot of mumbo jumbo information to support this pandemic idea. And I call it pandemicking. So don't get caught up in the pandemicking, because pandemicking is something that is in a lot of people these days. Some people show it, in public in their behaviors, and some people hide it and are holding it within, but have those thoughts in their mind. So let's check out some of the latest, greatest propaganda, and I will chime in accordingly.
Just over 2 years since the World Health Organization made this announcement.
WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Now, some experts argue this pandemic was actually a symptom of a much bigger problem: our world's deteriorating ecosystems. We spoke to scientists about what we learned these last 2 years and how we can prevent the next pandemic. Where did COVID come from? Scientists have been investigating that throughout the pandemic.
Now, to chime in real quickly, it's already been proven that corporatocracy for the past 100 years plus and longer, 100 years plus, people, with corporatocracy, the whole industrialism era was a major contributor to any type of effects on our atmospheres, as far as bacteria, particles that are harmful from obviously chemtrails that are still being spread to present day, to all the other things that have distorted the atmosphere based on of man. And it's not so much the greed of man, of you and I, but it's the men that were responsible for creating this history narrative. So let's continue to hear some of this mumbo jumbo, but for the purposes of awareness.
2 studies released in late February point strongly toward infected bats at a market in Wuhan, China. It's an animal-to-human infection, what researchers call zoonotic spillover.
There's 2 major components. One is the conditions that allow the bats to be infected and to be excreting the viruses. And those are conditions usually of environmental stress. Another event that has to happen is
See, this is what they do. They give you some truth with a lot of lie. And yes, these animals are unclean and unsafe, and there are people that ingest them, and there are people that can get sick from animals. But at the end of the day, this has to be injected in the human. And a lot of this is propaganda to make you believe in the narrative that's been fed to us, when we are all becoming more aware, if you haven't already, that this has been a major black flag, just high level propaganda operation to move forward towards this one world order for Agenda 21. And this is just a major move to this. This has all been documented, that this was all going to be purposes of gaining control, and it's been working. And to give you this narrative and feed it to you on a consistent basis on these major commercial networks, so that you can believe that some of this has to be true, because they talk about it so much and they provide this imagery of animals. And that comes from the CDC, people, because Dr. Fauci has been doing this for a long time. All right. He did this back in the 70s and early 80s when it came to the autoimmune diseases, right? Like HIV, and stating that it came from a monkey in Africa, when we know it's bogus, but this is what they do, people. This is what they do. All right. And this is what this man's MO's been for quite some time. I mean, the guy's been like operating like this for a while now. So let's just keep that in mind. And I'll be right back.
There has to be contact between humans and the pathogen.
The National Institutes of Health estimate that spillover accounts for 75% of new infectious diseases. That has more scientists embracing the concept of One Health.
One Health is a concept that our health, humanity's health, is intertwined with the health of ecosystems and the health of animals, including wildlife and livestock. When we have a breakdown in the health of one species, it can then trickle on to affect the health of others.
Humans and animals are in closer proximity these days for lots of reasons: land management, deforestation, intensive farming practices, and climate change. That creates new opportunities for diseases to spread.
If a bat is shedding a pathogen in a forest away from humans, then no one cares. It doesn't matter to anyone. But if a bat is shedding a pathogen and there's a person nearby, or it's shedding a pathogen in a village because it's seeking extra food sources, then we can see a spillover then. If you can imagine, every time we're encroaching into natural habitat, stressing wildlife populations, bringing people and wildlife together, particularly within the context of wildlife trade, where we're aggregating multiple species, we're stacking them on top of each other in cages in extremely stressful conditions, animals defecating, urinating on each other across species, and then transported along supply chains where you're aggregating more and more animals. I mean, these kinds of conditions are the perfect storm.
Jack Dangermond is the founder and CEO of Esri, a geographic mapping company.
By putting geographic stuff in the computer and overlaying these layers,
Now, just to chime in, people, real quick, a lot of what that lady was saying about the cross-contamination with feces and urine, with the animals being overcrowded, that happens in a lot of different food industries. It happens with the cows. It happens with other animals. Happens with the chickens. It's not just the steroids and the other GMOs, but it's just the overall conditions, which we're being poisoned with just bacteria besides the GMOs. So that's something also to keep in mind, there's truth to that. But that's not even causing COVID-19. That's a problem though. But just keep in mind, this thing that they say it's a virus is not true. Let's continue.
you can see things, you can analyze things and see things that are only imaginable.
Esri software helped visualize the spread of COVID, making the pandemic easier to understand.
It, as a technology and as a piece of media, woke up the world to the fact that we're all interrelated.
Just real quick, you notice how he said only imaginable, and then they said the COVID-19 pandemic? Just keep in mind that he said only imaginable, because a lot of this is imaginable. It's coming from a group of people's imagination. Let's continue.
The COVID-19 pandemic brought into sharper relief for us just how important it is to get these predictions upstream as far as we can to head off these types of catastrophes.
Everything is connected, and if we don't have sort of this ecosystem approach to solving problems, then we're going to solve them in little tiny bits and pieces, maybe not understanding the consequences to those vast systems that are interrelated.
In 2009, the CDC established a One Health office. Its efforts focus on education as well as collaboration with other health agencies.
I think for people working in the area of One Health, the fact that an emerging coronavirus could cause a global pandemic is not a surprise. It's something that we've seen evidence of with the severe acute respiratory syndrome back in 2003.
But knowing the links between ecosystems and outbreaks is one thing. Making the changes we need to survive is another.
This pandemic is a symptom of our faltering relationship with nature. We need to look very carefully at how we are connected and our health is connected with the health of ecosystems. And until we start to do that, until we start to value ecosystem health as a service for human health, then we're going to see more and more events just like the one that we're experiencing right now.
I know that we are in a very dark place with COVID-19, and it feels like we're never going to get out of it. It feels like this.
Now, keep in mind that this is also supposed to be focused on the fact that it's scientists that are pushing for holistic means or approach in combating future pandemics, which sounds great. That's what we've been talking about for decades now. Holistic, all natural, organic. Get back to what the Most High gave us to heal, to stay healthy, to stay strong, to stay vibrant, to stay aware, to stay spiritually connected. Let's talk about that type of stuff. Let's talk about putting that stuff in our body. But you notice that as we're moving along in this segment, that there's not much being discussed in the strategy or what exactly to do. And we're going to allow it to play because they will be interviewing this scientist. But I want you to keep in mind that that is the focal point here. But what they're giving us is a lot of fluff. They're giving us a lot of that smoke and mirrors media. So let's continue.
This is just a harbinger of more disease issues to come. And maybe that's true, but I don't think that this is something to despair over. It is a wake-up call that we have been fortunate to learn from now. And I think that it really is a sort of a motivator, and it's initiating a sea change in action that I think we will see the benefits of for decades to come.
Let's continue now with Dr. Barbara Hahn, a disease ecologist at the Carey Institute of Ecosystem Studies. Dr. Hahn, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So talk about what you've been looking for these days. I understand that you use artificial intelligence and mapping to study zoonotic disease outbreaks. What are you seeing these days?
Yeah, we're looking for, the goal for the SARS-CoV-2 work is really to try to get ahead of what we thought was happening, down the line, which is that most humans are the ones carrying it now. Most of us have been infected or are going to be infected at some point. And so the idea was, well, if it came from an animal and it got into humans and now humans have it, the chances of it getting back into an animal are quite high. And we just wanted to get ahead of it and think about what are the animals we should be surveilling? What are the species that we could be looking at now to...
So notice that she said, if it came from an animal. And you have to pay attention to what people say, people. I know what a lot of people can say from listening to me, but she said, if it came. So what she's saying in a nutshell is that because that is the narrative, we can go with that narrative, and the hypothesis or if looking at it from an experimental perspective, from the way a scientist would look at it, then there's a probability and a chance that it can happen again. So let's kind of give a diagnosis of what the chances are of how it can happen again and how we can possibly prevent the chances of that happening again by taking these precautionary measures. This is clockwork, medical, scientific propaganda, just propaganda 101, period. Doesn't matter what institutional industry of whatever nation in this world or country, what it represents. Doesn't matter its health, doesn't matter if it's business, doesn't matter if it's politics, doesn't matter if it's social. Oh, everything. They got their hands on everything because the enemy has his hands on everything. So let's continue, people.
prevent new variants from arising. So that's what we've been working on. We've been using machine learning and whatever data we can get our hands on to make these predictions.
Last week, the UN Environment Program joined an alliance with the World Health Organization to implement a One Health approach. What's your sense of how other nations, non-governmental organizations, intergovernmental bodies, of how seriously they're taking this idea now?
I think it is. I think there's no question that the world leaders have considered zoonotic diseases to be a problem, but I think that there's no ignoring the fact that we have to act on it now. And so I think that these types of initiatives, these sorts of global coalitions that are coming together, are really important for taking action on things that scientists have been warning about for years. So what we have is a lot of knowledge built up, and there's still more knowledge to be gained for sure, but what we need is action. What we need is organized, sustained, a full court press, right, to get ahead of things and to keep moving in a direction where we know we can make a difference in prevention. And I think this is one really great step in that direction.
I have to admit that as educated and thoughtful a person as I am, when I heard about this, the first thing my mind flashed to was every zombie movie I have ever seen. Human to animal diseases is World War Z, it's I Am Legend, it's Resident Evil. It's like all of these stories that don't end.
Okay. You hear that, right? He said all these stories that don't end up okay. Now she's laughing at him. Pay close attention to what her response is going to be. But besides that, also, let's be very aware and observant of how she's approaching this, because a lot of what she's saying is much of nothing, because she's not really telling him what is it that they need to do more of, or that they have evidence of, or that they've been talking about for so long and warning about. What is it exactly? Can you even name one thing? And yet, the segment is already 10 minutes or more in. It's 11 minutes and 56 seconds in. And it's still, we've gone nowhere. This is why I wanted to play this all through, because I want you to see how the narrative has been built about something that does not exist. Let's continue.
Well, are we talking about something that is just kind of bound to be a mortal threat to all of humanity? Not necessarily zombies walking around, but you know what I'm getting at. Like this idea of animals passing diseases to humans, it never ends well, and we never get ahead of it. Like, how concerned about this should we be?
I mean, you know, I wouldn't take it lightly. I mean, sure, those movies exist for a reason because we have this fear that it could happen, and I think we should pay attention to that. But I also think that we should look around us and think about what we've achieved as a human society, right? I'm on Skype with you right now. I mean, we're in lockdown and still making the world go round. And so I'm very optimistic that science and the world leaders, action takers, folks who really care about taking care of sick people, taking care of conserving our planet and making sure that we are growing in a sustainable way. I think science can achieve a lot, and science has achieved a lot. And I think the coronavirus pandemic is that wake-up call. I sense a sea change in the way that we are tackling these kinds of complex and global problems. I see a change in the way we are investing in our future. So yeah, zombie movies are, I'm a scientist, so I'm not going to say.
I see her talking a lot of bullshit. I see her not really answering the questions. I see her moving her eyes all the way around, up and down, but not looking anywhere, like for a long time. I see her just talking a lot of nonsense. And this is the bullshit narrative that they are making so much money off of, that they are glorifying as we speak in this segment. And this is what I call pandemicking. This is now the new hustle, pandemicking. And that word, people, I did it because it's what a lot of people are doing. It's what it's what they're selling. So you got people pandemicking on the streets, on the camera, and around the world. And then you also got people pandemicking because they're panicking. They're worried. They're paranoid. They're in a hysteria about something that doesn't exist. They're washing their hands 150 billion times a day. They're doing a bunch of shit. But now there is something called caca-19, and it's in the veins of many human beings. And right now they got that jello blood, and it's calcified, and it's causing major problems with their arteries and blood clots and heart disease and heart attacks and pneumonias, and the list goes on and on. Anaphylaxis. Let's continue.
Say it's a 0% chance, but I will say that I remain quite optimistic that we, as scientists, have some more tricks up our sleeve. I think that we have some solutions to offer here.
I won't be upset if you say it's a 0% chance, but that's a whole other conversation. The other thing that this made me think, and I hear you in terms of the optimism, I really do, because we did accomplish a lot based on years of basic research. Once COVID-19 showed up, we were able to accomplish quite a bit in a rather short period of time. The other thing I would ask you about before I have to let you go is this also made me think about the effort to get people to recycle, right? There's been a lot made of the individual steps we can take to save the planet. And lately, we've been talking about the gap between what people can do on their own and what governments have to do together, because it's the only way to make major changes. How much of the response in this kind of One Health way of thinking, it has to do with things that I can do individually, as opposed to things that the world has to do collectively?
I think it goes hand in hand, right? I mean, when we look at our backyards, when we look at our lawns, like we want to be clean. We want to take good care of ourselves. We want to take good care of our bodies. Those little incremental changes in like, let's not use as much water. Let's be a little bit cleaner about the kinds of products that we buy. Let's make sure to recycle. I think these small changes are easy to implement as individuals. And I think if we collectively understand that our small actions can add up.
Yeah, sure. Sure, Dr. Barbara Han. Sure, Dr. Han. Thank you.
To make a huge difference, not just in preventing zoonotic spillovers, but in giving us cleaner water, cleaner air, and that One Health framework that all of health is interconnected, including our own. I think that it feels more empowering. It feels like we have a role to play in solutions.
Now, you see how she's talking solutions, but she's not really talking solutions. You see how she's really giving vague comments, but key word, One World Health solution, One World Health answers. Keep that in mind.
And very briefly, in our last few seconds, is there one small step that you would ask more people to take?
Be better consumers. Think about what you're buying and the footprint that it leaves on the planet. And I think that as consumers, we have a lot of power with our dollars. So thinking carefully about what you're investing in and what you're not investing in is a really important step.
Dr. Barbara Han of the Carey Institute, I appreciate you indulging my zombie reference. These movies, I think they are way overdone and they keep me up at night. So I don't like them, but I appreciate you helping me understand this idea and what we can do. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope you can rest easy tonight. Thanks.
So he had to show everybody that it's a fruitcake. He's like, oh, the zombie movies keep me up at night so I can't fall asleep. Oh my. It's like, come on, man. Anyway, people, this is the end of the segment. And I just wanted to have everybody kind of get an idea of what pandemicking is. It's something that I'm going to, of course, do other episodes on and do part 2s and 3s and all that and make it series. But I wanted to have this introduction because I just did Jello blood yesterday, and this thing is serious when it came to the science appliance. All right. It just really is. And it's a tragedy. It truly is. It's a major tragedy, people. It is so many people have suffered from this, and it's sad. And that's why I'm glad that I do this, because it might reach out to somebody that matters to them too. And this thing, you got to be aware of this pandemicking thing where they pushing it with this real vague propaganda like media that a lot of people, when they see this, gravitate to this and they think it's real, but it's real fake. And with that being said, people, this is called pandemicking. So don't pandemic. Don't become a pandemicer and start pandemicking. Don't be around people that are always pandemicking, and be aware of people that are trying to pandemic trick you. All right. So when you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, people, because the light is and always will be within you. Light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. I'm going to play some music to exit out like I've been doing. This is a Faith Over Fear Friday episode, people. So I hope you enjoyed your Faith Over Fear Friday, and I hope you're enjoying your Saturday, your Sabbath, whatever you're doing over the weekend. And I want to say peace, love, and light, and Barak Atah. Let's go.
How you doing? How you doing? All right. The informationalist.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
Here we are back again, about to drop some facts again. Yahweh's word spreads like a vicious net for capturing those with an ear to listen, those who paid attention, those who stand bold like a soldier with their convictions, not quick to fold or throw in the towel when under pressure. They walk it like they talk it, they live the message, but depression's what most folks are facing. They got the vaccination, we in zombie land, pretty soon we gon' have to dance. Better keep that sword in your body, fam, cause this far from the game, Babylon will burn down in flames. Some deaths are better off real slow, so you can witness the pain. You tortured slaves, 400 plus years of pain, hung brothers up in the trees, swinging for days and days. Now this is your end of days, you looking so disarrayed. Try to cover your ears, but the truth still gon' penetrate. The hatred is strong, but races still want to imitate and integrate. Only Yahweh's chosen holy nation can ever be this great.
Yahweh's amazing. Before I eat, I'm saying my graces. I pray for knowledge and wisdom and peace. We dwell in greatness. 144,000 frequencies and vibrations. So don't give me amp. Go take a hike and camp like concentrations. Pull up my pants and send my genes to elevate genetics. I'm concentrating, no recess to dominate recessives. No car insurance, the way I swerve, they be like impressive. Stephanie Courtney know my flow is looking more progressive. My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist. Shout out my brother, take one. All these chances in life, don't hesitate and wait to take one. We are the true Jews, about to take off. Hitler knows we don't play soft. I pull up and let like 8 off. Watch a demon head splatter, give me back my platter that y'all just ate off.
Yo, remember what we talked about building something special as a 1/3? Well, I feel like we're finally here. A righteous Wall Street, bro. Yes, sir, let's get it.
All praise to the Most High, this is only the beginning. Righteously preparing, raising our awareness. No social engineering, just faithful forbearing. Salute to those faith in it, kings and queens creating it. That's people awakening, 2/3 be forsaking him, 1/3 keeps on praising him, putting all my faith in him. Most people be faking it, munching on some bacon bits. Ignorance remains in bliss. In this life I came to win, righteousness I'm living in. Truth is the enlightenment, Yahweh's the embodiment of peace and redefinement. Elohim is in the science, go grown out for lions. Raising the horizons, frequency just heightens. Spirit always brightens, no fear can ever frighten. A man on a mission, living out his visions. Truth to the tradition, gaining all the wisdom. To be freed from the prison, transition with God's mercy. With the early worthy, realist, righteous visionaries.
Too many people live their life in sin. You gotta change your life before the very end. The signs of the times and we know it's coming. But I walk in this light or two and fro, you'll be running. See, I choose to serve Yahweh Elohim instead of pursue a life of finer things. So break free from vanity, iniquity, depravity, the
my truth. I overcame my struggles, I'm the living proof. The truth's a weapon, just put it to good use. You can hang a lie by the neck, something like a noose. Y'all favor me, the real one, cause I'm a visionary. Committed to the truth, exposed to lies like a visionary. Tell them that the world that we live in is fucking crazy, so don't be moving shady. Y'all's protecting his people.
The world is trying to back me up against the wall like a cat. Guess what? I'm clawing out of that. Big facts. Guaranteed no pussies over here. When it all goes down, I'm negating all fear. You hear? Lend me your ear like a homeless man asking for $1. The irony in that 2/3 are going to holler, cause it's not gonna work shit. You dead. Put your body in the ditch if your ass cannot handle it. The elite is playing with us. Call it Squid Games. You decide if you want your brains falling on your lap and let the rats eat it. Just to be safe, no honor in that. I'd rather be with killers that spit facts. You would never see me selling my ass for some cash. Hollywood is gonna burn down and crash. I'm a bit excited about this. No tear dropping when it really ends. It's going to hit like Goku fists. Good demons cannot block this.
Ain't it funny how we went from...
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
How you doing?
Trapped in a world, yeah, but they don't want how you learn. No, they want everybody the same. Yeah. They don't want to see that proper growth and development. Expanding my brain so I can learn what I can. All because of how you learning knowledge that I never thought I would. You get me, yeah, cause of how you learning. They don't want nobody having that knowledge. Waking up in a different light, got my mind right. It took me time just to put it together. You know you not learning nothing when you second guessing, because it all lies. They put us in school for 12 years plus. Got the nerve to give us a paper certificate. I've been watching quite some time. Finally, that I see what's going on. Every time that I lay down, yeah, I feel, yeah, sad.
I'll start out my morning around about 6 o'clock. Not like I got a choice. It's just it's rough.
Trapped in a world, yeah, but they don't want how you learn. No, they want everybody the same. Yeah. They don't want to see that proper growth and development. Expanding my brain so I can learn what I can. All because of how you learning knowledge that I never thought I would. You get me, yeah, cause of how you learning.
Remember 6 a.m. waking up to get to class. Now it be 5 a.m. I'm rising up to hit them laps. School never taught me to be this disciplined with myself. All praise to Yahweh, been Yahweh helping me with my health. The spirit keeps me up even though we all packed in the jungle. The elites be lying, they want you mentally trapped in a bubble. You see them smile on TV, always acting like they love you. Don't wanna see you rise up, they wanna see you ash and rubble. I keep my acts in humbleness in hopes that the Lord will favor me even more, cause he's the one that has my number. He's been my guide, he's made me wise. He's all I know until the end, I'm gonna grind. Looking up to the sky, trying to stay righteous with the storm on my side. The crown of life is my why. I'm asking Father, please help guide me to the light.
Trapped in a world, yeah, but they don't want how you learn. No, they want everybody the same. Yeah. They don't want to see that proper growth and development. Expanding my brain so I can learn what I can. All because of how you learning knowledge that I never thought I would. You get me, yeah,
In the mix. 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 In the mix.
It comes a time when we gotta praise the Most High. It comes a time when we repent in the Lord's eyes. Been traumatized, we just weep until we sore eyes. Don't cross that line or we gotta let the sword fly. It comes a time when we gotta praise the Most High. It comes a time when we repent in the Lord's eyes. Been traumatized, we just weep until we sore eyes. So don't cross that line when we gotta let the sword fly. All praises to the Most High. First off, I just want to say that every single day a blessing, so I'm really stepping, trying to find my way back. Counted the cost, repented the flaws, I'm trying to live. Yeah, the kingdom of heaven abroad. Have hope in my dreams, I pray I don't fall. I pray for the ones who is lost. I'm feeling the sorrow of times. I'm looking on up in the sky. I'm seeing a lot of the signs. It's either repent or you die. Cannot be walking two sides. Choose to stay who you ride for. Cemented in faith till I die. You don't really wanna fall off. Keep your head up. Keep my sword with me with armor. We won't let up. Sharpen up your brothers, others who we care for. Always shine the light for the Most High in Christ. It comes a time when we gotta praise the Most High. It comes a time when we repent in the Lord's eyes. Been traumatized, we just weep until we sore eyes. Don't cross that line or we gotta let the sword fly. It comes a time when we gotta praise the Most High. It comes a time when we repent in the Lord's eyes. Been traumatized, we just weep until we sore eyes. So don't cross that line when we gotta let the sword fly.
I wonder why we was created, but later I got my answers. We're searching scriptures daily, trying to get rid of this cancer, the spirit. Bearing witness, I live these holy commandments. Repent, or you gon' perish. Destruction is way too scary. Every day I wake, I give all praises to the Most High. Living in this lie, learn the truth, or you gon' die. Ain't much time left, the Savior coming, looking to the sky. It ain't no disguise, gotta armor up my own mind. Gotta get it, spirit dripping, these gifts don't got no limits. I'm just wishing I could live in that holy kingdom with them. Focus on the mission, eyes locked in tunnel vision, no paganism. We truly follow Christ, that real Christian.
It comes a time when we gotta praise the Most High. It comes a time when we repent in the Lord's eyes. Been traumatized, we just weep until we sore eyes. Don't cross that line or we gotta let the sword fly. It comes a time when we gotta praise the Most High. It comes a time when we repent in the Lord's eyes. Been traumatized, we just weep until we sore eyes. So don't cross that line when we gotta let the sword fly.
All praise to the Most High. Repent and perish.
Let's stay to that. For one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take the freedom.
I done made mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
Yahweh's gonna save the awakened, then take him to an ageless haven. Patient, I can't stray away, gotta keep obliterating the pavement. Still remember that day on the phone, Mark, he said, yo, don't you take your foot off the gas. Always something to give y'all praises.
We're the dark oasis, for countless cases, a peak of faithness. I'ma need the patience, defeat temptations. We seek his graces for true salvation. We keep on praising, we go on blazing these revelations. Cease to hate, no altercations. Good vibrations, we back to basics to build foundations. Y'all defeated Satan. I done made mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish. People pursuing acts of violence, their persistent act of defiance, freely forming a righteous alliance, truly against the science appliance. On a mission with wisdom and guidance, steady defeating the ignorant science, sealing convicted and non-compliant. Spiritual wars, they're moving
Let's
silence.
talk about what matters. Drop the vanity. Folks out here losing their sanity. Kids popping off, lost in fantasies. People grieving over loss of family. The evil that be with the power, turning the people with credence to cowards, seeking to seize believers with bows. Many even Stevie can see that it's foul.
I done made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person, I'm person. So I'm aware of complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, so searching, then working and murking. Anytime to drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously emerging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
Depression gone with every song. Music led by another echelon.
To get you strong, keep pressing on, long after we dead and gone.
From dusk till dawn, we're righteously armed with spiritual lessons from Yah.
We where we belong, we keeping on, the righteous with third of Zion.
Records embellished with heavenly eloquence.
Elohim's presence presently evident.
Intricate elements, infinite intelligence.
Spiritual specimens lyrically resonant.
The gift was inheritance, smaller percentages.
Carefully measured and meant to be shared.
With the message projected, cemented, embedded.
The sensible question is, what will you get from it? I made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person, I'm person. So I'm aware of complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, so searching, then working and murking. Anytime to drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously emerging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
Know you listening to the one and only Oxakai.
Yeah, Marquise, or we about to hit him with something they ain't heard before. Let's go. Let me talk my shit. The truth is the truth, no matter how you accept it. I'm a Hebrew king that Babylon has rejected. Morals and soul intact, never neglected. Fuck these rap industry niggas, yeah I said it. I'm stuck when I'm stuck with, cause I don't suck dick. I don't sell brick, it is what it is. The Most High blessed me with this gift just to spit. And lyrically call you fake rappers on your shit. Blow for blow, let me know I'm ready to go. The difference between me and them, I still have my soul. Why sell it for a season when you promise tenfold? But niggas will be niggas, ain't that right, Momo? The truth is the truth, no matter how you accept it. There isn't like blood that's coded in my genetics. Bar for bar, so you can feel my kinetics. I know my purpose and my mission, intercepted.
Babylon did everything to try to keep it from me. They don't wanna see me grow with the truth. Don't want me. The truth is the truth. I know my purpose now. Now I'm on a mission. Babylon has did everything to try to keep it from me. They don't wanna see me grow with the truth. Don't want me. The truth is the truth. I know my purpose now. Now I'm on a mission.
In the age of low wages and raging races, haters with mad faces that haven't been awakened. Takes an oasis to be rich and famous. Vibration vibrations can be real contagious. We all vagrants in a wasted matrix. So basic sensations have reached the apex. Time to give the hopeless a conscious facelift. It's stages and phases of inspiration. So don't say shit, it's just confirmation. I'm giving directions to misguided strangers. So do yourself a favor, stop spilling blood on the paper. One with the creator, we don't waver from no danger. His purpose with no caution, no open in slow motion. A lot of painful emotions got me feeling explosive. But I maintain from implosion to stay away from commotion. It's into the slogan to be Yah's chosen.
Babylon has did everything to try to keep it from me. They don't wanna see me grow with the truth. Don't want me. The truth is the truth. I know my purpose now. Now I'm on a mission. Babylon has did everything to try to keep it from me. They don't wanna see me grow with the truth. Don't want me. The truth is the truth. I know my purpose now. Now I'm on a mission.
network of awareness.
Just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo. How you doing?
This concludes the Network of Awareness podcast. For more information on the Network of Awareness, please subscribe via email to our website, networkofawareness.com, and follow us on Spreaker.com or any other listening apps you use. For any questions about the NOA, email us at aura@networkofawareness.com. Thank you for listening to one of the fastest growing podcast shows on society and culture in America and abroad. When you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.